G'day traders, and welcome to wrap up of the markets for Thursday, the 31st of October. So today we finally got some movement after having some very quiet days. Today we've moved, but within these channels, within these major support resistance areas, and I'm going to bring up the 15-minute chart soon and have a look at those. Before we do that, just here's the daily chart, and like we've talked about in previous wrap-ups, it doesn't take much to make these market moves. It's just we've got a bit of a pullback off the highs. One little red candle, that was enough to sort of inspire these markets to move a little bit more. And like we say, when they're grinding higher, that's when the markets really tighten up. But as soon as it starts to come back off those highs, the market will get some more width, and the more it comes back within this range, the better that is for intraday movement. So anyway, we're starting to get a little bit of that. We'll see if it can continue on and get a little bit more of a pullback. So here's the 15-minute chart. I've added in this area here. We had this line added in just before we opened up the cash market. Basically, we've made a bit of a high here. Yeah, that's a significant little swing high, which we came back and tested here. The market really dealt around that area a couple of days ago, and then again we've it was a real launching point yesterday as well, as far as first of all bouncing off it, then going through it, and then again finding resistance there. So if you have a close look at the charts around these areas, you'll see this particular line at about 1761 is really quite the market's really respecting that particular area. So we've added in, and within today you're going to see these three lines marked on the 1 minute chart when we bring up the 1 minute chart, and we really dealt with in these areas. So let's go and have a look at that now. Righto, so we opened up, and to start off, we spoke about a few things. Does the market want to go high and really break through this 61 level, or does it want to break down under this 51? This 51 is, again, it's another really, I've spoken about this in previous wrap-ups, quite a significant sort of pivotal point in the market. It's the area where I believe if the sellers can get underneath that and really launch themselves lower from there, they can really start to have some decent pullbacks. But just so happens that pretty much this upper and lower area that we talked about, the market almost to the tick just respected those areas and moved in between that. But still with some range, which is good to see. So you can see the markets come up here. We're looking, we're waiting. We can see it all of a sudden turn around, and then we got this this big sell-off here. This really was inspired by the Russell. This top left-hand market here. It's sold off really heavily, and it was coming down to this next level, or this 1751 level that we talked about, and thought, okay, we've got some potential really to push through this. But it almost stopped on the spot and show that the buyers were still there. And that's why we have these horizontal support resistance lines, just to sort of segment the market, gives an indication of what's happening, and also being aware of areas within the market. If we know that this is a solid sort of pivotal point in the market, you just want to be careful. You certainly don't want to be selling into these. You want to see the market get through it, then come back and sell off it. So in this particular case, you can see that a few candles there have sort of touched their way through. There's no serious breaking of the area yet, so it's still holding up. From there, we went into this bit of a sideways move. It tried to go lower again here, but you can see, if you watch the other markets, yes, the Russell was breaking down a little bit here, but what was happening, the Nasdaq, another market we watched closely, was really starting to try and push higher, and it was respecting these lows and not breaking its lows, and showing signs of reversing. And that's exactly what's happened. Basically, the markets come up to this, this intermediate or this middle support resistance area. You can see, to the tick, it's respected. It's tried to get through there a few times and sort of bouncing off. It just didn't quite have the power. Meanwhile, Nasdaq is pushing through. It's broken through. It's pushing higher and higher and higher, and gaining all this momentum. So eventually, if it kept at this area, it's going to break through. And all of a sudden, as soon as it did, it's like the floodgates open, and away it goes from there. And the ES was able to push higher and start making its way back up to that upper support resistance area, where again you can see we've got almost to the tick, and from there it's found resistance. And again, it's continued to use this as an area. It couldn't break through it, and eventually it's done that. Well, not with any sort of great conviction, and then eventually it's finished the day on a bit of downwards movement. But we're normally finishing the trade around about 1-2 o'clock through this period here. So we finished up. We'll just see the market use that area as a resistance. So that's a wrap up for Thursday. It's good to see some movement in this market. We'll see what happens next week. We want to see it keep on coming back off these highs, and that will encourage these markets to keep on moving and getting some width. So we'll be back on Monday, and we'll do it all again.